Hey everyone, it's Gregory Hart. This is the Heart to Heart Podcast. This is episode number 27. On this week's episode, I got to sit down with the Raptors official DJ, the Toronto Raptors official DJ. Yeah, I said that correct. 2022 is starting off with a bang. Let's go get it. He was amazing to speak to. It was cool to hear about the 2019 championship, what's happened with the Raptors since, having to go play in Tampa, what it takes to control all the things going on in the game at one time, building with the brand, where he started, where his parents came from, what it took to just push towards a career that he wanted, regardless of maybe how hard it would be to get there. He worked his ass off and now he's there. He's DJing around the world. He's the official DJ of the Toronto Raptors, 4Korners. All right, man. Well, I'm super stoked to sit down with you. It's definitely been something I've been looking forward to for a while now, especially to sit down with someone that's got all the proper gear, not just their laptop microphone. That's sick. It looks like that's the SM, or that's the 7 MV.
This is the newer one. I can't remember what the model is, but it's the podcast one that actually has.
Oh, it's the MV7. It's the same mic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
I picked this up recently. I have the other Shure back there, but this shit I'm actually not plugged directly in right now, but the fact that I can is fucking sick.
That's this is just recently, like since the new year, just before Christmas, I had recorded my first episode with this mic, and the fact that I can hear my audio immediately helps me not talk over people because it's done on Zoom, right? There's always going to be that delay.
Right.
So it's nice.
No, it's really, really good. It's really good. I'm happy with it.
I always thought I had decent gear, and I see the stuff in your background. I'm like, oh my God. Gear you
okay,
really
well, no, that's like my actual stream setup. So
that's sweet. So yeah, can you talk more about that? Like, do you live stream?
That's a loaded question. Technically, I do. Have I live streamed recently? Not so much. I really, really got into it around last year this time because we were
okay. We're stuck inside
in the same level of lockdown that we are right now, ironically enough. But
another year.
It was really new, and I felt like, well, what the hell do I do? And a lot of my DJ friends were live streaming on Twitch, and I'd done a few Instagram lives, and it wasn't it for me. It was like really not. There's not really much of a connection with people. I felt like reading the tiny screen and trying to like communicate with people. But Twitch is different. I like set it up on this monitor over here, so it's like a big screen. I can see what people are saying, and I just played music and talked shit, and it was
I love it.
And it got me through a few really rough months.
And that's something that, like, for people that don't know already, you are the official DJ of the Toronto Raptors, and I definitely want to talk more about that. But that is a specific job where you're obviously not going to be working. Even if basketball's running and they're doing no fans, you're there to pump up the players and the fans. They technically wouldn't need a DJ there when there's no people, correct?
No, well, I'm there right now. We have no fans right now, and I'm playing all the games because what we're doing is creating the atmosphere for the players. Otherwise, they're in a dead sounding gigantic space
stadium,
just listening to the ball and the squeaking of their shoes. Like, that's not a vibe. It would feel like practice otherwise. So
it's very true.
We're bringing all the game elements. It's actually, I play the music, we actually filter in like crowd noise, so it feels like,
I did know that, actually.
It's cool too. Like, it rises and falls, like, depending on what's going on. And we pretty much just like all the defense chants and all that kind of stuff, everything that they would hear and feel.
That's sick.
If you close your eyes in there, you would think it was full.
That's awesome.
What we're trying to do, because it's so weird for them to, especially now we're the only team that's playing with no fans. It's not like the whole league is moving like this right now. So other teams coming in, they're used to having full stadiums like last night, and then tonight they come and they're playing to an empty stadium. Our guys they've gotten used to it now here at home, but then they go play a road game full of people, and then they come back home again and it's empty again. It's so weird. So we're trying our best to make it a thing, and so far so good, man. I don't want to say it out loud, but like, we've been doing well since we haven't had
any knock on some wood at everything you got around you, especially with the past couple of years we've had, man. That doesn't make anything that anyone's doing easier. Like, it is a weird Yeah, 100. And it's a weird thing to think for our Toronto Raptors is they might actually not have an away disadvantage. Like going to a full arena full of all these people that they don't get to see when they're at home might actually boost them. You know what I mean? Like you said, like I guess if you close your eyes, there's not those people there. But especially even the super fans sitting beside the net, the guy that you see every single game can't
Yeah,
even be there. Like that's
yeah.
tough.
It is. It's really, really strange. Like they're not even setting up all the seats around courtside anymore because what for?
Yeah, it's so
It's
true.
just an eerie situation, but at least we're playing here at home. That's what I keep telling myself, and I'm so
It's
thankful
true.
for that we're not, because last season, the entire season, we were in Tampa
Yeah.
and there was no basketball in Toronto. So like really happy that we're here. And as long as there's games here, we're bringing the energy and we're doing well.
It's also
What else matters?
100%. It's also a very tough follow up to a championship season. Like the Toronto Raptors won the world, or I almost said World Series, won the championship, won the championship in 2019, and 2020 we get shut down.
Yeah, it was really it sucked, to put
Yeah,
it
no,
plain. It
no,
really sucked. And like the thing is, Kawhi went to the Clippers and everyone was like, "Oh man, it's over." We
we
started
have a good team.
that season incredibly, like we were rolling.
Yeah,
Everybody was like, all the heads were turning like, "Oh, snap. These guys are for real even without Kawhi." And we're like, "Yeah, that's what we're trying to tell you the whole time." But then March 2020 hit and everything shut down, and then by the time we got back to the bubble, I don't know, man, we just didn't fare very well in the bubble. It didn't work well for us, or the momentum that we had built had been gone, or something. I don't know what the hell it was. We were doing great from October to March.
yeah.
Then we had that long break, and then when the bubble came, we like, we didn't do that well. We got second round playoffs, but like it wasn't, we weren't rolling the
Still,
way that we were. Siakam had like gotten his head or something. Like he was playing on a super, super high all-star level,
yep.
and then he wasn't. And it was just like a difficult situation because we're all like, every team handled the bubble differently. And we didn't do as great as we were doing prior to that, which is, it is what it is. It's sports. And then the next season starts and we are kind of at home a little bit, and then we're at Tampa. Actually, no,
It's a
we weren't
lot
even
of
at home
moving
at all. My
around.
bad. We weren't even home at all. The next season started and we're just like Tampa. So
Man, that's it's got to feel weird as a professional athlete, especially working your ass off your entire life to become a professional athlete, especially at the caliber that the Raptors are right now, to then feel like you're just in a makeshift arena. Like your stuff isn't hanging from the Raptors. You're not in your dressing room.
yeah.
It's all just like, here's something that has a basketball court that can hold some fans. Have fun. This is your home court. Like it sucks. Like they really did get thrown into that, especially after such a high. Like
Yeah.
every I'm sure that there's a lot of years where a team wins a championship and their team gets picked apart and maybe they don't do great the next year. But we lost Kawhi. We still have top-notch players. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a massive basketball person. I'm
Okay.
not. I don't know a ton about it.
But
I
I'm sure you
definitely
got
know.
swept up into it during the
Oh
2019
man, I
season.
watched more basketball in 2019 than I've ever watched in my life. But I do have
That
some
makes sense,
buddies.
though. You're not the only one. There's so many people across the country that really got into it, and some have stayed. I mean, everybody has stayed on varying levels of like paying attention to what's going on with the Raptors,
Yeah,
but the whole country were diehards for 2 months.
it's so true. And it's regardless if you're a Raptors fan or a basketball fan at all in general, watching the only Canadian team busting it and making it as far as they did, and just the games in the playoffs were obviously you were there, but
Yeah.
ones to remember, man. Like it was, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm jumping up for a sport I didn't watch 90% of the season. Like,
Yeah, you know
uh,
what? And the fact that it was like almost it wasn't like a Cinderella season because we were already building towards that, and we were like a top tier team
for sure.
3, 4 seasons prior.
Yep.
But it still felt like that because we're such an underdog, being the only Canadian team in an American league. And no matter what, no matter how well we do or have done, there's just this very little bro, big bro relationship between America and Canada. It's just based on
Yeah.
population. and the general, and I'm going to say it straight, and they know it's true, the general arrogance of Americans that what they do is the best at everything. That's how they're born and bred, and that's why they're
Yeah.
so amazing at so many things, because it's drilled into their heads that we're the best. And like, if you think
America.
that you're the best, that's half the battle. You just have to go out and do the other part. So culturally, they've been really, really good at having that dominant mindset, and like to a fault, even like nothing else matters in the world but America. And that's not true. But when it comes to sports, that's kind of how it translates, especially in this league where it's literally one team that's not in the country.
Yeah.
It's always like a little bro. It's like girls like, oh, those guys kind of thing, until we win it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there was like, oh, okay, well, they won this one time, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta
The respect thing. It's the same with the Jays.
Yeah, exactly. Baseball's the same thing. We're like, there hasn't been the Expos for a very long time. So the Blue Jays are the only Canadian team in baseball.
Exactly. Yep.
And for that reason, you're just kind of like the outsider. And therefore, no matter how good you are, you're kind of treated like the underdog, even if you're the favorite. Like,
yeah,
we had home court advantage all through the playoffs, except for against Milwaukee. Like in the finals against Golden State, which were the juggernaut team, we had home court advantage because we had a better record. But we were still being treated like the underdog.
I feel like that feeling is always, and I get that feeling.
But I feel like I know within myself, but I feel like as Canadians, and definitely the Raptors culture, we kind of liked that. We kind of enjoyed that because, okay, we're the underdogs. Watch us prove you
100%. 100%. I could not agree more, especially when it comes to any sport I play. Like, if people think I can't do it, it's just such a bigger, like, I'm going to do this.
It charges you up.
You know what I mean?
Like, you have nothing to lose. Like, we went into that situation as technically the favorites because we had a better record. We had home court advantage, but nobody expected us to win. So we just went out there and played ball because we felt like we had nothing to lose. The pressure was not on us. The pressure was on them.
Yeah, especially after what they've done in the previous years, Golden State. Like, but I've had that feeling. Like, I'm a way bigger baseball fan than I have been basketball in my life. But I get that feeling when I'm watching Jays play away. Like, I always get that feeling that, like, I don't know, maybe people don't take us as serious as the other teams, but.
And there's no reason other than the fact that our team is based across the border.
Yeah, because most of them can still be from Mexico or Cuba or Latin America or even the United States. Like, there might not be a single Canadian on the team. Like,
our basketball team was mostly American players.
Yeah.
In that championship year, mostly American players, mostly American-born basketball players that went to American colleges, got to the NBA, but still being treated as outsiders because you're not in America. It's so strange. Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. And hey, man, we won the championship. So
that's the sports. The rest is history.
They're mad.
But that's exactly what I was meaning there. Like, to have a season of that much growth and like to win a championship and then to be shut down like that, like that's.
I mean, it's not an ideal situation, but it's not that out of the ordinary because, as I said too, it's not like we just had this one crazy season. We were building towards that for years. Like, we were conference champions, like
DeRozan's time.
Like, that DeRozan era really elevated our team, and we were contenders 2 years prior to winning the championship. Nobody ever thought we would win because we're the outsiders. If we were like last year, Milwaukee won. Milwaukee's not an awesome world-class city. No disrespect to Milwaukee.
No,
sure,
but
there's great.
Look at the super teams. Like,
it's not Los Angeles. It's not New York. It's not you know what I mean? Like
Boston, Miami.
In the States, especially in certain sports, certain teams, certain franchises are just legendary. Certain cities are just larger than life, big tourist attractions, what have you.
Oh yeah.
Milwaukee's not one of those cities, but I didn't get the sense that anybody felt like, oh, it's just Milwaukee. There was none of that. Toronto is one of those cities, and we all felt like they were just like, oh, it's just Toronto. It's so strange, man. It's
a very weird feeling.
We're on the other side of the border, and it is what it is. But that doesn't really matter because you put the numbers on the board, and whoever has more points at the end of the game is the winner. And it is that's what matters.
Now, were you a basketball fan even before becoming the DJ of the Raptors?
Oh yeah, my whole life. Whole life. I played ball up until like the college level, and I was actually at the draft, like the first draft when we drafted Damon Stoudemire. I was as a kid, I was there because I was
Nice.
so excited that we had an NBA team, and my aunt at the time worked for the city, and something to do with that, she had access to a lot of tickets, so I got to go to a lot of games as a kid and events and stuff like that, just because I had the hookup, and I was so stoked because it's basketball here. Like I grew up watching like Jordan and you know what I mean,
Yep.
that era,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we never had a team until we did. So I've been a fan, and I've been a Raptors fan, diehard, the entire time. So when I got the
Oh
opportunity to
my
work with
God.
the Raptors, it was just like, hey, I love music and I'm working in music. I love basketball. I always have, and I'm able to put them together. It was like a dream situation.
I was gonna say that's a story itself.
Yeah, can't
I
be
read
mad
a
at that.
I read an article about like how you started out, and like I was on the search of finding your first name.
My
I was like
my government name?
Kirk.
Yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
find it?
I was like searching for it, and I was like reading these articles, and it just kept being 4 Korners, 4 Korners, 4 Korners, 4 Korners, 4 Korners. I'm like, I guess when he changed it, it worked because that's what everyone
That's
calls you.
That's odd because I feel like put it out there so much that I'm like, oh man, too many people know my government name, and they're like, it's hard to know who actually knows me from who knows me as 4 Korners. People who call me 4 Korners, I know that we haven't like personally met and we don't have a relationship, so I can be like, okay, cool. Because like I meet a lot of people. I feel bad sometimes when I don't remember people.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they call me 4 Korners, I'm like, okay, I don't feel that bad because like you don't know me. But because I feel like because my name's out there so much, I actually had it on my Instagram. I changed it recently too, because too many people were just like, "Hey, Kirk," and then I'm like scrambling. I'm searching my
Who
brain
are you?
to be like, "Who?" Like I envision like there's those gigantic libraries with the high ladders that like have
Yeah, yeah,
wheels.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I feel like there's a little man in my brain just like scouring the whole thing, trying to
Touring,
figure who
yeah.
is this person to find out they don't actually know me. They saw my name on the internet. So I don't know. I prefer to like be able to separate the two. I don't introduce myself as 4 Korners though. I think that's weird.
Yeah, that'd be a weird thing to get used to. That's what I was gonna say. Like, was it hard to get used to people calling you that, like in public or at events or anything?
No. I mean, I call myself that because it's like my name, my brand's name, and my DJ name. So it's pretty normal. What's funny to me is the variations of it that people come up with. Like some people call me 4K, which is like pretty standard, or 4 Korners. But there's the odd person that just calls me Korners, which I'm like, okay, I get it. And then there's some people that call me four, and I'm like, that's weird. Don't call me four.
And those are the people that'll never call you Kirk.
Right? They won't graduate to that status.
Yeah.
Why would you call somebody four? Like, hey, my name is 4 Korners, and that's what you choose, just four,
Yeah, man, you're lazy.
right?
Like, come on, man. Corners ain't that long.
Right? It really, really isn't.
So I was reading these articles about how you started out and stuff, and I know that you've done interviews and podcasts before, but I found it so interesting that you were DJing at Roots for ten
Yeah,
dollars an hour.
yeah. Um, and I don't no regrets, man. It was actually a lot of fun because at that time in my career, at that stage in my career, I was really trying to get into the club scene and trying to do events,
Yeah.
but I wasn't there yet. So when I got this opportunity to get paid to DJ, yeah, it was $10 an hour and like whatever, but like I was getting paid to DJ.
How many other jobs are you doing what you love and getting paid for it?
You know what I mean? I
Exactly.
looked at it as, well, I could get a retail job and fold sweaters, or I could get a retail job and DJ. And like really what I was doing at that time, I realized in hindsight, is getting my 10,000 hours. I was getting my 10,000 hours in because I spent 5 hours a day every Saturday, 5 hours every Sunday for a couple years. So 10 hours a weekend DJing in front of people, not just at home in my
Yeah,
basement, but
yeah.
like actually in front of people,
Yep.
taking requests, observing how people react. Like it's not a party, but you see when people catch a vibe and they're like a little two step while
Oh
they're
yeah.
trying to figure out what clothing they want to buy. So and the staff was always jamming and always having a great time. They were like, "Oh man, I wish I was working this weekend. I missed you this weekend," type thing. And I had a great time. But in that, I got to practice a lot and just explore music and try a bunch of things in front of people. And by the time I got to the point where I was actually playing at clubs, I felt so much more comfortable than I did before I started at Roots.
Now, no matter what it is or what you're going for, like even like a podcast like this, it starts off as this was a hobby for me. Yes, I love doing it so much. I love talking to people all the time. And obviously my goal would be to be able to do this full time. You'd get a lot better at it if you could put your 40-hour work week into this,
Right.
right? So it's really cool to hear that like you got to do that. Like you got to what may have actually been a hobby for you that you wanted to be a full goal. You just didn't know if it could be a career for you, ended up being that. Like working at Roots, like going in, like that's such a big city thing to hear.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, well, I knew don't get it twisted. I knew that I could make a career of this.
awesome.
But I just understood that like there's dues to be paid. Like you don't just walk in and headline. You got to get there. So I was trying to figure out, well, what's the best way for me to get there? And I saw Roots not for the practice aspect of it, not for the, oh, I look big time because I'm DJing in this big store in the big mall or whatever. I just looked at it as, hey, I'm somebody wants to pay me to spin records, I'm there because nobody else is paying me to do this. I'm doing it for
Exactly.
free all night in my house. If I can do this and get paid for it, and you know what I mean? And at the same time, I was like parlayed that into a sponsorship with Roots where I ended up doing some modeling for them and like getting custom clothing made by them and like all
That's
kinds of
sick.
stuff because you gotta like every opportunity is an opportunity, right?
That is such a mentality thing though. Like you just said, like not to get you wrong, the not being a hobby, you knew this was what you were going to do. That's something that I've only recently brought into my life. Like growing up, that was not the way I looked at it. I was always growing up with, you need to get a good paying job, you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need like these are the
Right.
books and you need to follow them. Like that's how I always grew up. So like starting to do this and starting to branch out into stuff that made me happy more than it made me money, it really is like a now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm gonna grind. Like the 10,000 hours I only recently started hearing about, but like 10,000 hours is what it takes before you're really good at something. Like you are now an expert or whatever it may be. But it's really nice to hear that like from the beginning, you were just like, this is what I'm gonna do, get in my way, see you later, we're rolling. Like I love that.
Yeah, I think that that was sports mentality, though. I grew up playing sports, basketball and others, and that's the killer instinct that comes with being good at sports is I'm gonna win. Like it's your job to try to stop me. I'm here to win.
Yeah.
So when I got into this, don't get me wrong as well. Like my parents, more specifically, my mom was very, very adamant about me being in school and finishing and well done. And I went to university. I dropped out when I realized that music is really what I wanted to do. She
Yeah.
wasn't happy about that. I went and found a music business school called the Harris Institute in Toronto um, to go
Nice.
to so that I would be doing what I wanted to do, but also
Still in
appeasing
school.
her concern for my well
Win
being. I
win.
know she meant well. I know she wasn't trying to stifle my dreams.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was just trying to make sure that I was able to support myself. And like her brain was just, you go to school, you get a job.
Yep.
She's not a creative person. My dad was a creative person. He was a chef. Prior to that, he was a guitarist in a band. So
Nice.
he kind of understood a little bit more than she did, but still he was, make sure you got your shit together.
You never want to see your kids struggle.
No, for sure. And I'm not mad. I love them for that. Like I can't be mad at that at all. But thankfully I was like strong-willed and or stubborn enough to say, well, this is what I'm doing. It's my life and I have to figure it out. And I did the thing. But all through I was just like, yo, I'm gonna do this. I have no idea how. I don't know how this works. Or
Yeah.
like it's
I
not
hear
the
that.
type of thing that like you go get a degree and then you're a big DJ. Like it doesn't work that way. So I had to figure it out, but I was so passionate about it and I loved it so much. And I was spending so much time doing it, whether I was being paid at Roots or not being paid at home or playing, parties for people for
Yeah.
free or
Yeah.
whatever, just to be able to get to play. It was the type of thing that I would do for free and I would still do it for free. It's an honestly amazing thing that I actually get to earn a living doing this.
See, and it's when we talk about our parents, like how like they were like to the book, like you need to go to school, you need to get a job, you need to get paid good money. I think that creates a good work ethic to begin with. So
Yeah.
even if you decide to branch off and not do the direct route that they might have assumed, they've already built that like you need to work for what you want in your life kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Like some people may not have that in their life, but I definitely did growing up. I think that's what makes the special people.
For sure. Well, where are your parents from?
Tillsonburg, Ontario.
Oh,
You know where
actually,
that
you're
is?
Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, my parents are from Trinidad. And they came over to Canada in their teen years, and I know just from my upbringing where that came from for them was that was their mindset. They weren't in the position to be like, I want to be creative, I don't want to try stuff, and I want to like see where life takes me. They were in the position where they had to like support themselves and other people. And
Yeah,
they're in survival mode more than creative mode.
we're very
Whereas,
lucky.
yeah, like the generation that we're in and beyond, we're able to have that option to be like, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Like there was
Yeah,
no option for them. They had to work. They had to make money. My dad was in a band, which was like awesome, but he still worked. And long story short, without getting to, he might have gone a different direction and like fully dove into music because he had a really dope opportunity when he was young. But his mom and my mom, who was his girlfriend at the time, were like, nah, you gotta do the traditional thing, and you gotta get a job, and you gotta, that. And he chose that. He chose
yeah,
family. And I've had numerous conversations with him where he's like, you know what? I made that choice myself, and I have no regrets. So he was happy with it. But he at least was doing something creative, and I know that something in that lived through me. And
yeah.
he definitely is the basis of my musical everything. So I know that he was living vicariously through me as I started this journey into, it was like my parents were both there, and my mom was like, come on, man, you got to go to school. And my dad was like, yeah, you go to school, but like, if you want to do this thing, like, I get it. Like, that was the
Yeah,
energy that I
yeah,
got
yeah,
from them regarding that. And like, my mom was way more upset when I dropped out of university than my dad was
yeah,
because he understood where I was at in my head. He'd felt that way himself,
yeah, yeah.
and he knows what the heart of an artist is. So that
That's
was that was how that went down, and I'm happy that I just went for it.
yeah, obviously paid off very well for you. It's also a very different, like you said, like when you originally first said, "Oh, you're Canadian," I was like, "Oh crap, did he think I was from the States or something?"
No, no,
No,
no. It's just like
I get what you mean now.
most of my friends are first generation Canadians.
Okay,
Like most people I know. I think I mean, it's vastly a Toronto thing because it's just so multicultural here. But like
yep.
most people here in the city, their parents are from somewhere else in the world, and we're the first ones that are born here. So that's why I ask, because generally, like, where are your grandparents from? Are they Canadian?
Canadian,
Wow. How
many
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 generations deep?
generations. Oh,
Okay, I
I
have
don't.
one friend who's 5 generations deep Canadian, and that's like
Oh, I would
insane to
definitely
me.
be. I would definitely be
Wow.
at least five.
It's rare. It's
I,
rare in this part of the country, at least.
I would have to go on like ancestry.com and find the top of the tree to find out where we came from.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you don't even know if it's like what other country originally?
No, and it's something that I definitely would like to. I just never really took the time to find out like fully my background. Like I've heard like English, I've heard Scottish, I've heard all these different things throughout my
Right.
life from different aunts and uncles, but like they're 4 or 5 generations deep too. They have no clue.
That is so interesting to me because Canada is such a young country that like your family are early, early Canadians.
Yeah,
Same
I'd
as
have
my boy
to.
Corey is like 5 generations deep Canadian. I've never heard of that before. Like you were literally the second person I've heard of that's more than grandparents deep in Canada.
So my fiance, her grandmother lived to be like 97. They have a picture where 4 generations are standing in the same photo, and they're all Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and they one of
That's
them just had a kid, and it happened to be after the grandma had passed, but it would have been 5 generations in one photo.
wow. That's so incredible to me.
It's also a lot that no one thinks about. Like everyone, like, and maybe this is stupid to say, but with everything going on nowadays, it's something to bring up. Everyone always thinks that like how you say people look at Canadians as if like we're the underdog, like no one, like not to be taken serious or whatever. People also look at us like we are okay. We are nice people. We're not the like sorry,
Eh.
sorry, sorry, hey, hello, like as the stereotypical Canadian. But like you growing up, like your parents moved here from, you said it was
Trinidad,
Trinidad.
Caribbean. Yeah.
I'm sure actually I'm guarantee you've had your issues with racism and all that stuff throughout the years
Absolutely.
that I think which I'm completely wrong, but that other countries would look at like maybe we don't have that the same. Would you ever
Other
think that? Like they look like they think that we're just so nice or we're just it's
Oh
not as
yeah,
big
no.
of a deal.
The marketing of Canada as the nice country has been done very well. It's come out very recently, or not very recently. It's always been there, but like it's been blasted across the mainstream recently to the contrary, where the real is being seen and heard, and like there's direct evidence of, you know what, it's actually not all that sweet here in Canada, and this comparison of Canada to America, and oh, America are the bad guys and Canada's the good guys. No, everywhere where there's colonialism, there's dirt. There's
Everywhere
definitely
has their
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, and it's great to me that it's being like brought to the forefront so those who don't know can actually now know and ask more questions. Before, it was just such a brilliant marketing scheme. Don't know where it started or how it started, but like nobody questioned anything regarding Canada. People, when I would say to people that, yeah, there's racism, I've experienced racism my whole life.
Yeah.
People not in Canada would be shocked by that. They'd be like, what? Racism in Canada? That doesn't even make sense.
It's like
And
we live in a fairy tale land.
it couldn't be more sensical. You know what I mean? But um somewhere along the line, or somehow, we just got painted, or this country got painted with this super nice brush, and everybody's nice and everybody gets along, and it is a fairy tale land, but it's not. It's the real world.
So true. It's not until you sit down and talk like this, like about sports and about how like the perception of Canada and stuff, and like just the way other countries look at us, until you really sit there and like, wow, we got our shit.
You know what it is, I think? Globally, and I've experienced this a lot of places that I've traveled around the world. Globally, people generally don't know that much about Canada unless they've been here or they know somebody here. Otherwise, they lump us in with the US. But they lump us in such a way that the opinion of Americans around the world in a lot of places is not that favorable.
No.
Like people aren't super excited to hear that you're American. They kind of, especially like places like France and England, various other places, like they're like, oh, American, oh, there's like
Yeah.
that air. Whereas Canadian, like Canadian, oh, like they're happy to see us. I don't know where that comes from.
I had that in Cuba. I got on a bus and they're like, how many people here are from America? And no one put their hand up. Like, how many people here are from Canada? And every single person in the bus that was on vacation put their hand up. And they're like, nice. We're so glad that you're all Canadian. Like, it's
Right.
just like, oh my God.
American-Cuban relations are not that great.
No, they
Had a
haven't
great
been in a
history.
while.
No.
Oh, that's tough.
But yeah, so I don't know. I honestly, I don't even know where to start digging for this, but somewhere along the line, Canada just got this super great rep. Like,
We are super
who
nice.
started this PR campaign?
We are the nicest people.
They did a great job convincing the world that we are faultless in every way, that everything in this country is fairy tale beautiful, and it's not. And I'm happy that people are seeing that it's not, because now questions can be asked and we can
100%.
find out more and really see what the real is, that a lot of people knew all along.
Honestly, like growing up, like I definitely had my people that I was surrounded with that would be ruthless, racist, or whatever it may be, say a joke, they think it's hilarious. No one's around that it would offend. So it's
Right.
okay. We're in the era now, which I'm very happy to be a part of. Change is happening. Like it needs to happen way faster. It needs to happen more. And it needs to just regardless of what you don't like, it's never going to go away. You just got to limit the amount of people that are doing the thing that you don't like.
Yeah,
I know
it's
that
gonna
might sound
take
so stupid, but
no. I know exactly what you mean. It's gonna take time. Like saying racist shit when nobody who would be offended by it is around is not okay. It's never been okay. But like you would think, or people think it's okay because, well, nobody's here to get their feelings hurt. So like, what does it matter? But it's like, but this is what you're carrying with you. This is how you feel. This is what you think.
yeah,
And when you do come across people who are different than you, how do you treat them? Do you treat them with any of this that you've, cultivated in your brain or has been passed on to you? Like, none of us are born with these ideas. Like, racism isn't something that's inherent, it's taught.
hell no, it's definitely taught. Yeah, 100%.
So it's important that that shit is nipped in the bud. And it's important that if you're around people that try to do that because, well, nobody's around or whatever, that's like, you check them on it. Like, that's where things change, where you're just
Yeah.
not allowed, you're not able to get away with shit. Like, the reason why it's not like the, 300-400 years ago where you could like murder somebody and just continue living your life is because
Yeah.
you can't get away with that.
No,
Society
exactly.
says no.
Society
And
says you have a cell phone now and a really nice camera in your pocket at all times.
right. You know what I mean? So like that's what it is. There's lots of things, even just in terms of like how the male female dynamic and how females have been treated forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say for decades. No, and I'm talking about like the workplace, but like if we're talking for the real, forever.
Forever. Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
it's there's a lot of things that used to fly that don't fly anymore simply because society has changed and evolved, and enough people, both men and women, have said no, that's not acceptable. Like
Yeah.
it, and that's the important part too regarding racism. Like if you look at the equality between men and women, which we're still not there obviously, but it can't just be women saying, hey, we want to be treated as human beings. It has to be men also saying, hey, we need to treat women like human beings. And
Yeah.
that's how change happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So regarding racism, it can't just be the oppressed saying, hey, we want to be treated like human beings. Has to be the oppressors also saying, hey, it's not cool to not treat people like human beings. Everybody's human. And that's how things change. So I'm happy that at least these kinds of conversations are happening way more often than they did before.
Yeah.
And there are some things that are being changed, whether it's for genuinely good-hearted reasons or fear of getting canceled. Either way, that shit
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Either way, it's working. Exactly. I sorry to go on like such a off tangent to talk
No,
about all
it's all
that
good.
stuff. Just
Yo,
kept rolling.
give me 1 sec though. I just realized my computer's not plugged in.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me just plug it in. I thought it was. There we go.
Sweet. Yeah. Sorry to go on such a rant there. Sometimes you just get talking and
No,
that
man.
is so the ADHD in my head.
This is a necessary conversation that needs to be had over and over and over again for us
100%.
all to come together and figure this shit out, because
Yeah.
otherwise nothing gets fixed if you don't put it on the table.
Agree. I definitely agree. Yes, I do believe that now this generation, the people that are just like coming up and social media people, especially, like social media has become such a big platform for our generation or generations just under us or just before us to really just express who they are as a person and how they feel, not just how the people before them felt or how their family views something.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm gonna jump back to the Raptors if that's cool.
That said, basketball.
That being said, basketball. I just want to know, like, how did it start? Like, did you have how did you become the Toronto Raptors DJ?
Long story short, right time, right situation, right guy. More detailed, without getting into, like, a lot of people ask me this question, and like I've actually made a video on YouTube about it that I need to update because it's older. And somebody recently asked me on TikTok too, which I'm going to make a couple videos to speak on this concisely. But essentially, the Miami Heat had a DJ by the name of DJ Irie, who's like the OG sports team DJ. As far as I know, he's the first DJ in the world to be the official DJ of a professional sports team.
Okay.
And the higher ups at the MLSE, the company that owns the Raptors, went to Miami. They go to different arenas to see how the game presentation is done. Just comparing notes. All the teams do that, and they saw that Miami had DJ Irie rocking the arena, and they thought it was a great vibe. And they, amongst themselves, were like, "That'd be great in Toronto. It definitely would work in our market, but we're not on the scene. We don't know DJs. We don't know who it is that we would get. So let's just park that idea and keep it moving." And then the VP of marketing happened to be at an event that I was doing at one point one night. That was, ironically enough, an event that I was doing for Roots Canada. They had in their flagship store, they had like a liquor license, and they would do after hours events. And I was DJing that event because I was the DJ that was playing in the weekends all the time.
Way.
and she saw me and my partner at the time, and was really thrown by how I was mixing all kinds of music together in a way that was like coherent and vibey. And she popped the question, and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, it sounds like a good idea."
Oh yeah, freaking out
Inside, I'm
inside.
freaking out, and then skip ahead like a bunch of phone calls and emails and meetings to try to make sure that she doesn't forget the conversation we had, because she just gave me her card and she kept drinking. I wanted to make sure she didn't forget. Um, and she didn't forget. And then we eventually had some meetings and did like a video audition and a bunch of stuff. And then they're like, all right, let's try it. And then it went well. And we're like, all right, let's try it again next season. And then it's, skip ahead to now. It's 17 seasons later. I'm still there.
Since 2005?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so sick. I would have been losing my mind. I would have probably screwed up every word I said to her after she handed me that card.
No, man. I was like, yo, this sounds, I know this word carries like a negative connotation sometimes, but I'm an opportunist.
Yeah.
Like if there's an opportunity that's presented to me, or if there's something that I think I can make something good of,
Yep.
I'm going to try that shit. You know
Nice.
what I mean? And that's why I did Roots Canada. I was like, well, I can get paid to DJ, and like, what's the worst that can happen? I DJ a lot.
And think of it like now, like it's such a brand though. Like Roots is not a small brand; it's
Oh, for
Canadian
sure.
brand, right? Like
For sure. Well, yeah, this wasn't like some random store. This was Roots Canada. And it was at the time when Roots was really Roots. Like they had the Olympics contract, so they were doing all the Olympic team gear. And like it was a big, big deal at that time. It's still a big deal, but like they were more in their prime at that time. So to be associated with that brand was a good idea. And it wasn't lost on me that like, hey, if I work in the store as the DJ, I can maybe finesse that into some sort of sponsorship, which I did.
man, that is so wicked. That story is so cool because when you think about it, like I'm in sales for a living.
Mm-hmm.
You being able to at the very beginning be a DJ in a root store is marketing. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Even some guy walks in there and he wants a DJ at his party, or he wants a DJ for an event that he's hosting, or he goes home and talks to his parents that are hosting an event. They want a DJ. Like, that's huge, especially when you're playing in a retail store where you have to play for all ages, genders, everything. You got to have a diverse playlist that's just ready to make everyone get up and dance.
Exactly that. And like it was at Eaton Center, which was like the busiest intersection in the country. A lot of people saw me DJ there. A lot of people.
So skip forward, you're now the Toronto Raptors official DJ.
Yes.
Where does this go from here? They like, what is it like? I know this is so long ago, but I just want to know, like, what is it like DJing your first game? Nerve-wracking, I'm
horrifying,
sure.
Horrifying. Because to that point, like I DJ'd a lot in the store, and I was already starting to like do opening sets at parties. Like I wasn't the headliner of anything big, but I was starting to get into the club scene a little bit, and starting to like make a name for myself and whatnot. But I had never played in a room that big, number one. And it was like something completely new because it's not a party, it's not retail, it's a sporting event. So it's more like a production than it is background music or the music to make people dance.
Yeah.
So I was just like, if I mess up, there's a lot of people that are looking at me.
Who's this guy up here?
And also beyond that, like I'm still trying to prove to the upper brass at the company that it's a good idea, because like if it doesn't go well, they'd be like, we tried it didn't work. And I didn't want that to happen. So I put a lot of pressure on myself to like really do the thing. And apparently I did the thing.
So when it comes to DJing a Raptors game, what do you all have control of? Obviously, there's a lot of music, but they also like stop to do contests. They do like stuff at halftime. There's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
Are you controlling the music, or who's speaking through that?
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I mean when I say it's a production. For every game, I get like a run of show that has all of those elements outlined in it. Sometimes there are specific songs that go with those things. Sometimes they're just like, you choose. And so I'm playing the music for all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's not a little production. But I guess you said what? You're 17 years deep?
Yeah, now it's like no, I'm essentially the music director there. I would say that more so than like I mean I do DJ sets and I'll do like the halftime show and I spin, the warm up part and all that. But beyond that, I'm more like a music director than I am a DJ because I'm not specifically like mixing a bunch of records together. It's like one song, two songs, this song for 10 seconds and this one for 30 and then boom, we're back to the game. It's like a full on it's a show. It's really a show. And what's amazing about it to me and what I take great pride in is like I work together with a really dope team that everybody
Yeah,
has
yeah.
their role. And we've been able to cultivate this thing over the years that people come to the games and whether you're into basketball or not, you leave feeling like you just had a great time. And like that's what it's about for us. We're the entertainment of the game for everything except the actual game.
I have been to one Raptors game in my life, and I think it was in like 2016, 2015. And I'll tell you, at that point, I didn't watch any basketball, but I had two of my best friends were like die hard every game. They're jumping up, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're playing at a court in the neighborhood every single weekend. So they
Uh-huh.
were all jazzed. Like, do you want to go? I'm like, sure. Like, I love sports. I'll go
Yeah.
watch any sport.
Yeah.
If you have not been to a basketball game live, you have no idea what you're missing. You could not have a clue what's going on, and you're
Yeah.
pumped up the entire time for I don't know why.
And you know what? Like I said, I take great pride in that because we built this in that way. I've been to NBA games in other cities. Some do things in a way that's like exciting in the way that we do. Some really don't. It just depends on the market and the city and the staff and what they feel is right for their arena. So I'm not saying any better or worse, but like we're the fucking best at this shit though. Like we are the best
I love
at it. We are the best. Like when I see the way people enjoy themselves at these games. And
Oh
when I
yeah,
just look
man.
at and even just, I mean, just when we go through a sequence and it goes perfectly and it's like bang, 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 boom, back to the game. I just feel like, yeah, we did that. Like, you know what I mean? It's so, I love it when we put it together and it comes out exactly the way it was envisioned, just like any other production or like award show or like anything where there's cues and there's a lot of people involved and we're all communicating by headset and you as the patron have no idea about all this behind the scenes that's going on to
Yeah.
make that thing happen, but it's just like there's so much going on, but to you it seems seamless. That's what I love.
That makes me like, I don't know why I'm sitting here so happy for you. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, you
Bro,
know what? This guy
I'm
busted his ass.
passionate. I'm
Yes.
passionate about the things that I do. I don't do anything that I don't like, and I try to do as much things that I love with most of my time. So like that, I love that shit. Like I love it.
Hearing you though 17 years later being like, when this hits and this hits and this hits, I just love the way everyone's up and on their feet and they're rolling. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's so awesome to hear you so passionate about what you're doing. I can like, I could see someone getting into it and then taking it too much like a job. I know it's a career, it's
Mhm.
what you do all the time, and then be really pumped to go do clubs and stuff, the stuff they really want to do. But to hear how fucking jazzed you are about this stuff is so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, don't get it twisted. There are some days just like any other job that like
Yeah, yeah.
you'd rather not go to work. Like, and that's just not like you don't like it, but like I'm comfortable here on my couch right now. I'm watching a show. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
Netflix is
I
asking
gotta
me.
get up. It's winter. I gotta go outside and all that stuff. But like when I get there, all of that goes away because I really truly love doing that. And I feel the same way about nightclubs and stuff too. It's like there's times when I don't want to go to the club. Like I'm a human being.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? There's times when I want, some family member or some close friend is having an event that I'm not able to go to because I have to go do a performance, or like I had a nice meal and I'm in bed chilling
And I
and I look at
really
the
want to
time and I'm
see.
like, oh, I gotta get up and get to the club by this time. And like, sometimes you feel like you don't want to leave where you are or you're having a great time or whatever. Sometimes I'm hanging out with friends and I'm like, I don't want to, but like I love what I do so much that once I get there, all of that always goes away. I'm just like, well, I'm doing the thing that I love for a living. It's a beautiful thing to have found your calling. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I wish this for everybody that if you can find what it is that you love to do the most and figure
Yeah,
out a
man.
way to get paid for that, I am so happy for you because that's how I feel.
Yeah, I respect that so much because it's something that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do, is to do something they love every single day. But I definitely know how you feel when it's like, I'd way rather do something else than my job. Like, you know how many nights I've sat there and I'm like, I want Netflix to tell me at least twice if I'm still watching before I get off
Right?
this couch.
Right?
Yeah, man, everyone's got their time.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I truly believe that we all have something. Like we all have something to offer the world. And also we all have something that we are passionate about or love to do. And it's scary and it's a lot of risk involved if you're gonna like weigh what that thing is and try to
Yeah,
figure out how to make a living out of it versus stability.
for sure.
For some people, it is stability, though. For some people, it is like that thing that's very stable, which is like super happy for you people. But for me, it wasn't. Mine is just mad risky. But I got to the point where I couldn't imagine not doing it.
Yeah.
Like I had a day job. I had a good day job. I worked with Rogers at their head office, and I was making good money and like had good hours. I had my choice of hours, all that kind of stuff. And it got to the point where I was like, I couldn't even spend 5 minutes in there without feeling like I'm going crazy because I'm wasting 5 minutes that I could be putting towards the thing that I really love doing.
Yeah. Have you decided to walk across over to that other big building and see if you could be the DJ for the Toronto Blue Jays as well, or?
No, oddly enough, my having become the Raptors official DJ opened a lot of doors for other DJs in this
Awesome.
country because now the Jays have a DJ. It's Jed Harper, and that position would not have been a thing had not the Raptors had me. And that case, this happened years later after we like really got it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Other teams started doing it, and like MLSE, Maple Leaf
Yep.
Sports Entertainment, owns the Leafs, TFC, the Argos. Those teams all have DJ elements in them now, whether it's an official DJ or like DJs on site, based on it worked with the Raptors. Let's try it over here.
That's cool to know that like all those opportunities happen, especially in that city. Like, that's pretty cool to have you guys all. Have you guys all done a mix together? Like you and
We haven't, but I know we're all friends. It's like the DJ community is tight, and like the sports DJ community, we all know me, and they know me as the godfather of this shit.
now one more thing before we get off here. We've already done 50 minutes, which is mind blowing. Um, Connor Price. I love the song Marathon. Like that coming from TikTok is awesome. Like I watched your recent post where like how TikTok has really opened up everyone's like musical I forget how you even worded it.
It's just
But
an
it
opportunity.
100%, dude. And that song is sweet, especially how it was just like him stitching your beat and then like it all worked out together. Like it's a cool song, but it made me want to ask you, you have a label you've been working on, correct?
Yes.
It's like the street names you grew up on.
Yeah, it's called Jane Shepherd. I spell it stylistically JNSHPPRD, but I grew up at Jane and Shepherd in North York. And I decided to start a label essentially because I started making music and I started releasing music like 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just started it along that time. I decided, you know what? Let me create a situation where I can release my music because there's record labels you can go to and whatever. I'm like not really interested in signing a record deal at this time because it wouldn't necessarily be the right deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you know how it is.
Smart.
Once you need track record. I have hella track record as a DJ. Like I'm good. I can play anywhere. I don't have a problem getting bookings as a DJ. But as a musician and an artist, I'm relatively new. So for that reason, I'd rather build up some steam and then maybe entertain that conversation versus trying to go knock on doors and get a record deal. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna start my label. I have the means to do that. I have the relationships to do that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I've done that. And all the music that I've been making has been going through that, or most of it. And Connor has done the same thing. He just releases his own music and has his own label. And we
That's
came
such a now
together.
thing.
It is. It's very now. Well, just the big difference without getting too much into it is before the point where things changed, you had to have a record deal because you were trying to get CDs in stores.
You don't need to do that no
And
more.
in order to get CDs in all the stores on the same day, number one, that was expensive, and number two, like you couldn't just go to HMV and says, "Hey, I have a song coming out. Can you put it in the store?" They didn't accept that. But when things went digital, that opened it up for everybody because there are these companies popped up that you can distribute your music through, and it goes to the Spotify's and Apples and Titles and all that. So now that we can do that, we don't need that middleman technically.
Honestly, I don't know the music side of things that much, but what I do compare it to is I'm very big into watching comedians podcasts. I love comedy in general.
Yeah.
They've hit a point right now where they can be on their own. They don't need someone that controls everything they do or tells them what they need to do. They have their
Absolutely.
own like artistic they can do everything themselves. They can
Well,
put their
yeah.
own material out.
They can shoot videos, they can have a podcast, they can, you know what I mean, get out and book their own shows because they have the internet to use to promote themselves. Like there's all these things that we all have access to do as creatives now. And TikTok happened to be the one that connected us on this record. I actually met Connor through Twitch like in 6-7 months ago, but I got on TikTok late. He's been on TikTok earlier than me. And I just started putting some beats on there because I saw producers were putting beats on. I was like, let me put some beats on. And I put this one beat on, and Connor hit me up. He's like, yo, I really like this. I'm going to do a verse on it. And then he did that, and it was crazy because he's a super talented guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then we just decided amongst ourselves, and also because so many people were commenting that we need to drop this. Like there's nothing to drop. It's not a song. He just rapped for 30 seconds. But we can make it a song. And we spoke and decided to make a song and released it. And it's been going great. It's been super well received. And I'm excited about it. We're talking about doing some more stuff as well. I just sent him some more music, and who knows? Maybe we have a few more records coming down the pipe. I'm sure we will.
Honestly, he is how I found you.
See, there you go. And that's because TikTok is such a discovery platform. You can find people, and that can lead you to other people and other scenes, and like it grows. It really, really grows. I like how TikTok works. I like how their algorithm like really helps you discover. I've found so many talented artists and comedians and actors and actresses and hot girls and whatever on there.
No, man, it's cool because I remember I followed him for a while because I really just liked his voice and the way that he spit. Like it was just really cool. Like his transition was awesome.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed rap for a while, so it was really cool to see a guy that was Canadian and being up there. He was in movies. He's an actor. He's been in LA. It was really cool to see. And then I saw you guys do Marathon. I saw it come out, and I was like, "Who's 4Korners?" And I pulled on like the official DJ of the Toronto Raptors. Oh my god, I gotta hear this story.
They're like, I'm like, you totally heard me spin. You just didn't know yet because you came to that game.
That's right. You're so right.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's really cool how it connects. Like I remember reaching out to Connor, didn't answer me. So you got one up on that guy.
I'll hit him up and let him know.
Well, I just gotta say thank you. I gotta say thank you for sitting down and doing this. I definitely got to get out to a game, give you a wave while you're up there in your little booth there.
Yeah, when we get fans back, we don't have you can't come now.
No, I know. I'll be waiting outside for a while.
Yeah, but soon. I'm very optimistic that we'll have fans back in the arena like within the next. I'm making this up. I'm not at all in control of this, but I think in the next.
You got to disclose.
No, I'm saying like I literally have we all know it's not up to any one of us, but and we don't know what's going to happen. But I think just by seeing how things have been moving, I feel like, it's not going to be any more than another month or so.
Yeah, it's definitely been.
We'll see if that comes true when in a month from now. We'll see.
I'm going to message you in a month, be like, come on, man. Why you leave me astray?
Positive vibes and thinking. I'm putting it in the universe. We're going to be back. We're going to have all the fans back. It's going to be crazy dope in no time.
Now, if people want to hear your beats, listen to Marathon, just see your social media in general, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is 4Korners.com, number 4 Korners with a K. However, I'm on all the social media platforms. So just type 4Korners into Google and you will find me. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
That's not just 4. It's the number 4, KORNERS.
If you just type 4 and press enter, you're not going to find me. But if you type 4Korners, number 4, KORNERS, you will find me. Absolutely.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with me tonight. I can't thank you enough. Can't wait to get back to ball. That'll be sweet when that's rolling again. I can't wait to get to Toronto again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great night. Hope you have a great week, and hopefully we can get back to normal soon.
Thank you for having me, man. We will. We will, definitely.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Peace.